Thor: The Dark World is the 2013 sequel to Thor the movie, produced by Marvel Studios and distributed by Walt Disney Motion Pictures. It is the 8th installment of the MCU, and it was directed by Alan Grant, the director of Mad Men, Game of Thrones, and Deadwood. Now, as we continue on our way to Avengers Endgame, now is the turn to review this film. Is it a good film? How does it stack up against the competition? Well, in the next couple of minutes, we're going to find out. The good. Chris Hemsworth is the perfect Thor. I definitely like him as a character. From the beginning, as I mentioned in my previous review of the film, or the original film, he was very likable, and I like him a lot here too. He definitely has the charisma, the presence, the part. He looks the part, and definitely he portrays the character very, very well. All those traits of Thor. Thor, even though he's very powerful, he sometimes is afraid of himself. Even though he doesn't showcase that in his persona, even on the comics, there's a lot of doubts in him. There's a lot of things where he is very good-hearted, very, naive, and all of that. He plays that here. Now you can see a more mature elements in the character. You can see that this character is growing and maturing through the franchise, and you can feel it here. So definitely he played the part. Now we get to see more of Asgard and its mythology. That's something that the first film didn't have as much, but we'll get to see it here, and I like that. I like that we can get to see the 9 realms. You can see the dark elves. You can see the warriors tree, Lady Sif. You can see Asgard in its splendor and the soldiers and all the mythology around it. And definitely that's something that we were craving on the first one, and definitely it was delivered on the second film. Now, the movie is visually stunning. It's beautiful. Again, as they did with the Asgard and its elements of Asgard and Asgardian mythology into the film, they also fixed some of the things that the first one didn't have. As I mentioned in my previous review, there are a lot of dark moments in that film. But here, you don't get to see that. It's like they put and add more color into it and make the scenes very beautiful. Everything is beautiful. From the moment you start watching the movie, the first battle between the Asgardians and the Dark Elves, you can get to see the beauty of the CGI. Everything is done and played well. The battles of Thor with his enemies. You get to see the battles in Asgard. You get to see the battles in the different parts of the 9 realms. You get to see so much here. And the dark, Malekith and the Curse, all of them definitely. It looks great. It is stunning visually. And definitely they fix a lot of things from the first one. And on that end, I'm not disappointed at all. Now, the bad. Of course, we already mentioned the good, but we also have to mention the bad. As I mentioned, even though the movie is visually stunning, and there's a lot of great elements added here that were, lacking on the first film, the problem with this film in comparison to that one is that it's drier. It's more dry than the first one. The story itself is not as fun and as engaging as the first one. The first one was very personal because you feel the commotion. You feel Thor dealing with the issues and trying to prove himself, trying to change and learn in the process. This one, you can see a more mature Thor, and that's good. But the problem is that the movie deviates from really centering into that situation, into the personal thematics, and goes more into the visuals, into the story, into in this case, the combat, the battle. So it's more about the visuals. It's more about kind of maintaining a legend rather than just getting personal with the story itself. Malekith and Algrim the Curse are one-dimensional villains. And to me it's disappointing because I love Walt Simonson's run of Thor back in the 80s, and particularly this run where he created Malekith and the Curse, and those are precursors to the Surtur saga, which is definitely one of the greatest, if not the greatest saga of Thor of all times. And definitely the stories are very engaging. I really love the story in the comic books, but here in the movie they felt very dimensional. They're just looking for world, universe, and the entire spectrum of the 9 realms and above that to really bring darkness into the entire world. So their goal is just a bit, like any other goal that we have seen from other villains. You don't feel the connection with them. They're not multidimensional like Loki, even though Loki plays a part here. He's not the villain of the story. He actually is an ally of Thor. So definitely he is very, in this case, Malekith, and the actor is a great actor. He plays the part well, but you don't get to see more of that. And of course, they speaking in a particular tongue, and in this case, an elf tongue. So all of that, of course, makes it even more distant and not as I would say as relatable as you want it to be, because there's nothing better in a film when you find the villains relatable. And of course, in this story itself, in this movie itself, there's none of that. Now, this movie suffers the same as Iron Man 3, and it's that the pacing is uneven. The film has ups and downs, and that really takes away from the engagement. So you feel like, there's great moments, and there's very slow moments. And there are moments where the actors act in ways are a bit strange or weird, and it just doesn't add up. It doesn't feel as cohesive. I would say as the first one that felt more complete in that sense. It just affects that pacing. You're watching the movie, you're not, I would say engaged or invested into it. You're just waiting for the movie to end, and just finalize the film. In conclusion, Thor: The Dark World has everything going for it. It has the visuals, it has the actors, it has the story. But unfortunately, it's very lackluster and it's less engaging and fun than the first film. And it's because it seems that all the energy of the director or even the studio is centered into really giving fans that were complaining of the first film, of the elements that were missing or were not as big or as powerful in the first film. They concentrate on giving, in this case, fans that, rather than just going with their gut and just producing a film that was as bigger than life and a story driven. So I feel that that's the problem with this film. It has everything going for it. Visually is great. The story is one of my favorite ones. And everything is really there, and you have all the elements lining up. But ultimately, the narrative is not as powerful, and you don't feel the connection. You just feel that it's just numb entertainment that is playing out like any other numb movie that you have watched before. That doesn't mean that the movie is bad. It's still definitely a good addition to the MCU, still an entertaining watch, but not a top tier among all the MCU installments. So if I have to give this movie a score, I would say 7 out of 10, which means it's good. It has a lot of great elements visually, great actors, great story, but not everything is, worked well in the end, and the movie feels dry. It doesn't feel as fun or as engaging as the previous movie. So what is your opinion? I would like to hear it. Definitely leave your comments below. I like when we engage in conversation. If you like the content of this channel, please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification button so you're reminded of the next video. Don't forget also that you can follow me on Facebook, on Instagram, and Twitter. All the links are down below. And if you want to help me financially, you can do so through Patreon and through PayPal. Again, the links are down below. So once again, God bless you. Have a great day. I'll talk to you again. Bye-bye.